The warning lights flashed red across the station's command center when the alien ship appeared. Captain Ji Woo stood from his chair and watched the vessel drift toward Covenant 7. It moved slowly, leaving a trail of sparking energy behind it. Something was very wrong with that ship. Ji Woo had commanded this frontier station for 3 years. In all that time, he had never seen an alien vessel approach human space. Humanity was too new, too unimportant for the galaxy to notice. They had discovered faster-than-light travel only 50 years ago. Most alien species had been flying between stars for thousands of years. The alien ship was beautiful, despite its damage. Its hull seemed to shimmer with colors that Ji Woo had no names for. But deep scars ran across its surface, and entire sections were simply gone. Whatever had attacked this ship had been merciless. "Sir, they're broadcasting," said Lieutenant Minnow from the communications station. "I think it's a distress call, but our computers can't translate it." Ji Woo nodded. "Bring them into Bay 3. Send a medical team and have Engineer Hana meet me at the docking port." 20 minutes later, Ji Woo stood in the docking bay as the alien ship settled onto the deck. It was smaller than he had thought, barely larger than a shuttle. The airlock hissed open, and a figure stumbled out. The alien was tall and thin, with skin that looked like polished silver. It wore robes that might have been elegant once, but were now torn and stained. When it saw Ji Woo and the others, it fell to its knees. "Please," the alien said. Its translator device sparked and smoked. "Please help us. We are dying." Engineer Hana rushed forward with her scanner. "Its translator is failing. I can try to fix it." The alien looked up at her with eyes that were completely black. "No time. I am Ambassador Thalvex. My people, the Velrothi, are being destroyed. The Hive has taken everything. 12 star systems gone. Billions dead." Ji Woo knelt beside the alien. "What is the Hive?" Thalvex shuddered. "They consume. They grow. They never stop. We tried to fight them. The Galactic Council said they would help us. They lied. Everyone lied. Now we have nothing left." Hannah worked quickly on the translator. After a few moments, it stopped smoking. "That should hold for a while," she said quietly. "Thank you," Thalvex said, standing slowly. "I came here because you are new. The old species, they have given up on us. They have decided the Velrothi will fall. They prepare to seal off our territory and let the Hive consume us. But perhaps a young species still remembers compassion." Ji Woo helped the ambassador to his feet. "Come with me. Tell me everything." In the station's meeting room, Thalvex explained the situation. The Hive was unlike any enemy the galaxy had ever seen. They were not intelligent in the way most species understood intelligence. They were more like a single organism spread across millions of bodies. Each drone was connected to all the others through something the Velrothi scientists called quantum consciousness. "We cannot fight them traditionally," Thalvex said. "Destroy one drone, and the others learn from its death. They adapt instantly. Every weapon we use becomes useless after the first battle. Then how do you stop them?" Minho asked. Thalvex reached into his robes and pulled out a crystalline device. It was about the size of a human fist and glowed with a soft blue light. "This is the etheric resonator. It is an ancient weapon from before the Galactic Council banned such things. It can break the quantum link between the Hive drones. It will stop them all at once." Ji Woo leaned forward. "Then use it. We cannot." Thalvex placed the device on the table. "The weapon requires activation codes from 3 of our command ships. These codes must be entered simultaneously. The ships are all behind enemy lines now. Our fleet is destroyed. We have no way to reach them." Hannah picked up the device carefully. Her scanner hummed as she examined it. Her face grew pale What is it? Ji Woo asked. Sir, this device is broken. The crystalline core has fractured. Even if you had the activation codes, it wouldn't work. Thalvex closed his eyes. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he spoke very quietly. I know. I have known since before I came here. I hoped that perhaps a younger species might see something we missed, some way to repair it. But I see now that hope was foolish. Why did you come all this way if you knew it was broken? Minho demanded. Because I had to try. Thalvex looked at each of them in turn. You do not yet understand how the galaxy works. The great species, the ones who sit on the council, they do not help when help is needed. They calculate. They measure. They decide who lives and who dies based on cold mathematics. When the numbers say you will fall, they let you fall. It is rational. It is logical. It is how civilized species behave. He stood slowly, his body shaking. The Galactic Council met 3 days ago. They formally voted to abandon the Velrathi. Quarantine procedures begin in 1 week. They will seal off our entire territory. Everyone still alive in those systems will be left to die. The Council deemed our rescue too costly, too dangerous, too likely to fail. That's murder, Hana whispered. No, Thalvex said bitterly. It is pragmatism. It is the price of being civilized. When I argued against the decision, they looked at me with pity. They explained that emotional thinking leads to greater loss. Better to sacrifice 12 systems than risk spreading the hive further. Better to let billions die than endanger trillions. Ji Woo felt anger rising in his chest. And they just accepted this? All of them? All of them. Thalvex moved toward the door. I should go. I have taken enough of your time. I will return to my people and tell them what I learned here. Perhaps knowing that someone listened will bring them comfort in their final days. Wait, Ji Woo stood. Let me contact my superiors. Let me at least ask if humanity can help. Thalvex turned back. His expression was one of such profound sadness that it hurt to see. Captain, I appreciate your kindness, but I have studied your species. You have 47 deep space vessels. The hive has millions. You are brave, but bravery cannot overcome such odds. Let me try anyway. For the first time, Thalvex smiled. It was a small, broken smile, but it was real. You are so young. Perhaps that is a blessing. Yes, Captain. Contact your superiors. Ask them if humanity will help us. I will wait here and hope one final time. Ji Woo left the room and went to the communication center. He sent an urgent message to Earth, to Fleet Admiral Dong Haiyan. He explained everything. The Velrathi, the hive, the broken weapon, the Council's betrayal. The response came 3 hours later. It was brief and clear. Humanity would not risk war with the hive for a species they had never met. The stakes were too high. The odds were impossible. Earth's answer was no doubt. Ji Woo read the message twice. Then he deleted it from the station's records. He returned to the meeting room where Thalvex waited with Hana and Minho. What did they say? The ambassador asked. Ji Woo looked at his crew. Hana met his eyes and nodded slowly. Minho grinned. They said yes, Ji Woo lied. Humanity will help you. Thalvex stared at Captain Ji Woo for a long moment. The Velrathi ambassador's black eyes seemed to search for something in the human's face. Finally, he spoke. You are lying to me, Thalvex said quietly. Ji Woo felt his stomach drop. I don't understand. Your body language changed when you read the message. Your superiors said no, didn't they? Thalvex's voice held no anger, only tired acceptance. It is logical. Humanity should not risk itself for strangers. Hannah stepped forward. Sir, if Earth said no, then we can't. Earth said no, Ji Woo interrupted. I'm saying yes. This station, this crew. We volunteer. Minho laughed suddenly. Oh, we're getting court-martialed for this. I'm in. Alvex shook his head. You cannot do this. 3 of you cannot retrieve the activation codes from 3 command ships deep in Hive territory. The mathematics of survival are. I don't care about the mathematics, Ji Woo said. You came here asking for help. I'm giving it. Now sit down and tell me exactly where those ships are. Over the next 6 hours, Ji Woo gathered every crew member on Covenant 7. He explained the situation honestly. The Velrathi were dying. Earth refused to help. Any crew member who volunteered for this mission would be disobeying direct orders. They might face prison when they returned. If they returned, 12 people stepped forward. They were all volunteers. A mix of military personnel and civilian specialists who happened to be on the station. They knew the odds. They didn't care. Sergeant Yuna was the first to volunteer. She was Special Forces, trained for impossible missions. My grandmother always said the right thing and the easy thing are never the same. She said simply. Tactical Officer Kyung was next. He was quiet and analytical, the kind of person who thought 10 steps ahead. Someone needs to plan this properly, or you'll all die in the first hour. Others followed. Engineers, medics, pilots. People who had families back on Earth. People who should have said, no. Ji Woo watched them gather and felt something tight in his chest. Pride, maybe. Or fear. Probably both. We need a scientist, Hannah said, studying the broken resonator. This thing is beyond anything I've seen. We need someone who understands advanced physics. I know someone, Ji Woo said. But she's not going to like this. Dr. Subin arrived from Mars 2 days later. She was younger than Ji Woo expected, barely 30, with short hair and eyes that seemed to look through things instead of at them. She carried 3 large cases of equipment. You're all insane, were her first words. I reviewed the data you sent. This mission has a 0.003% chance of success. That's not rounding. That's the actual number. Will you help us anyway? Ji Woo asked. Subin set down her cases. I've been working on a stealth system. It's highly experimental. It might work. It might kill everyone on board. I'll need to install it on your ship. What does it do? It convinces sensors that your ship doesn't exist. The system projects a quantum signature that mimics empty space. In theory, you can fly right through enemy territory undetected. Subin paused. In theory. I haven't actually tested it yet. Minho whistled. That's either brilliant or suicidal. Both, Subin agreed. Also, it requires so much power that you'll need to shut down life support while it's running. You'll have about 4 hours of oxygen before everyone suffocates. So we need to complete the mission in under 4 hours, Ji Woo said. Per use of the stealth system, Subin corrected. You'll need to use it 3 times to reach the 3 command ships. Assuming you survive the first time. Thalvex had been listening quietly. Now he spoke. Why are you doing this? Your species gains nothing from this mission. You risk everything for strangers. Subin looked at him with curiosity. You really don't understand, do you? Look, I'm a scientist. I deal with cold facts and hard numbers all day. The numbers say your people are doomed. The numbers say this mission will fail. The numbers say we should stay home where it's safe. She knelt and opened one of her cases. Inside was a complex array of equipment that glowed with soft light. But here's the thing about humans. We look at impossible odds, and we don't see certainty. We see a challenge. You came to us with a broken weapon and a desperate plea. What were we supposed to do? Calculate the odds and walk away? Yes, Dalvex said. That is what civilized species do. Then maybe we're not civilized yet. Subin started pulling equipment from the case. Where's your ship? I need to start installing this thing. The next 3 days were chaos. Subin worked 20-hour shifts installing the stealth system on the human vessel. They renamed it the Defiant Hope at Sergeant Yuna's suggestion. The crew trained for every scenario they could imagine. Hana studied the resonator, trying to understand how to repair it. On the 3rd day, a transmission arrived from Earth. Fleet Admiral Dong Haiyan's face appeared on the screen. He looked tired. Captain Ji Woo, the Admiral said. I received a report that you're planning an unauthorized military operation. I'm ordering you to stand down immediately. Ji Woo stood at attention. Sir, with respect, I cannot follow that order. Dong Haiyan was quiet for a moment. Then he did something unexpected. He smiled. I didn't think you would. Listen carefully, Captain. I'm officially ordering you to abandon this mission. This order is being logged and recorded. Do you understand? Yes, sir. Good. Now that the official part is done, let me speak off the record. Dong Haiyan leaned closer to the camera. What you're doing is reckless, dangerous, and completely against regulations. It's also the right thing to do. I was ordered to stop you. I'm choosing to fail at that task. It might take me a few days to organize a response. Maybe even a week. Ji Woo felt relief wash over him. Thank you, sir. Don't thank me yet. I can buy you time, but I can't protect you from the consequences if you survive. You'll face a court-martial. Your crew will face discipline. But that's a problem for later, if there is a later. Dong Haiyan's expression grew serious. Bring them home, Captain. Show the galaxy what humanity is capable of. The transmission ended. That evening, Ji Woo gathered the crew one final time. They stood in the docking bay beside the Defiant Hope. The ship looked small and fragile compared to what they were about to face. Last chance to back out, Ji Woo said. No one will think less of you. No one moved. All right then. Woo looked at each of them. These people who volunteered to die for strangers. These beautiful, foolish, brave people. Let's go save the Velrathi. Thalvex watched from the observation deck as the Defiant Hope prepared to launch. Beside him stood other Velrathi who had arrived on damaged ships, refugees from the dying worlds. They all watched in silence. They are going to die, one of the Velrathi said. All of them. For us. I know, Thalvex replied. Why would they do this? Thalvex thought about the question. He thought about Captain Ji Woo lying about Earth's response, about Dr. Subin installing untested equipment, about 12 humans volunteering for a mission with a 0.003% chance of success. I do not know, he admitted, but I am beginning to think we have misunderstood what it means to be human. The Defiant Hope's engines ignited. The ship lifted off the deck and moved toward the station's exit. Through the viewport, Thalvex could see Captain Ji Woo in the command chair. The human looked calm. Not the calm of someone accepting death, but the calm of someone who had made a choice and would see it through. The ship accelerated and disappeared into the darkness beyond the station. Thalvex pressed his hand against the viewport. May the void be gentle with them, he whispered in his native language. It was an old prayer, one the Velrathi said for those who would not return Dot behind him. Dr. Subin was still on the station. She had refused to board the ship, saying her skills were better used preparing the resonator for when they returned. If they returned, they'll make it, Subin said, though she didn't sound entirely convinced. They have to. The mathematics say otherwise, Thalvex reminded her. Subin smiled sadly. Then I guess we'll have to change the mathematics. The Defiant Hope crossed into Hive territory 3 days after leaving Covenant 7. The moment they passed the boundary, everything changed. Space itself seemed different here. Darker somehow, though Ji Woo knew that was impossible. Activating stealth system. Sabin's recorded voice came through the speakers. She had left detailed instructions for the equipment. Remember, you have 4 hours of oxygen once the system is fully powered. Not a second more. The ship's lights dimmed as power diverted to the stealth system. Ji Woo felt the temperature drop immediately. Life support was shutting down. They were ghosts now, drifting through enemy space. First command ship is 2 hours away, Minho reported from the pilot station. The Eternal Watcher. According to the Velrathi data, it's drifting in a debris field. They found the ship exactly where the data said it would be. The Eternal Watcher was massive, easily 10 times the size of the Defiant Hope, but it was dead. No lights, no power. Long tears ran across its hull, where something had ripped through the metal. Worse were the things attached to it. They looked like enormous insects, each one the size of a car. Dozens of them crawled across the Velrathi ship's surface. Hive drones. We need to board it, Kyung said, studying his tactical display. The activation code is stored in the ship's main computer. Deep inside. Sergeant Yuna stood and checked her weapon. Then that's where we're going. I'll need 3 people. Ji Woo selected the boarding team carefully. Yuna would lead. Engineer Hana would access the computer. 2 soldiers would provide security. They suited up in silence, checking seals and oxygen levels. The airlock connected with a soft thud. Yuna went first, moving carefully into the Eternal Watcher. The others followed. Ji Woo watched through Yuna's helmet camera. The inside of the Velrathi ship was dark, except for their flashlights. Frost covered every surface. But worse were the signs of what had happened here. Scorch marks on the walls, dried fluids on the floor, and bodies. So many bodies. Stay focused, Yuna said quietly. We're here for the computer core, nothing else. They moved through the corridors. It took 30 minutes to reach the computer room. 30 minutes of walking past the frozen dead. 30 minutes of hearing nothing but their own breathing. The computer core was intact. Hana connected her equipment and started working. It's going to take a few minutes to download the code, she said. That's when they heard the sound. A clicking noise, like metal on metal. It came from the corridor behind them. We're not alone, one of the soldiers said. 3 hive drones appeared at the end of the corridor. They moved wrong, their bodies bending in ways that hurt to watch. When they saw the humans, they screamed. It wasn't a sound that should come from any living thing. Go, go, go. Yuna shouted, firing her weapon. The first drone exploded in a shower of acid. The second dodged with impossible speed. The third charged straight at them. The soldier beside Yuna grabbed the drone and threw it against the wall. It recovered instantly and drove something sharp through his faceplate. He died without making a sound. Hana, how much longer? Yuna demanded, still firing. Almost there. 30 seconds. More drones appeared. Too many to count. They poured into the corridor like water. The second soldier went down fighting, taking 3 drones with him. Yuna stood over Hana, her weapon glowing hot from continuous fire. Got it. Hana shouted. I have the code. They ran. The drones followed, screaming that terrible scream. They made it back to the airlock with seconds to spare. Yuna sealed it shut just as the drones reached them. She could see them through the small window, clawing at the door. Back on the Defiant Hope, Ji Woo counted the survivors. 2 people had gone into that ship and not come back. He hadn't even known their names well. They had volunteered anyway, and now they were gone. We have the first code, Hana said, her voice shaking. 2 more to go. The second command ship was worse. The radiant dawn was caught in the gravity well of a gas giant. It was actively being consumed by something the Valrathi called a processor node, a massive hive structure that broke ships down into raw materials. Minho studied the approach. I need to fly into that planet's atmosphere. The storms will hide us, but one wrong move and the pressure will crush the ship. Can you do it? Ji-Woo asked. Minho grinned, but there was no humor in it. Guess we'll find out. The flight through the gas giant's atmosphere was the most terrifying experience of Ji-Woo's life. Winds that could tear mountains apart battered the ship. Lightning that could power a city for a year flashed around them. Minho flew through it all, with his hands steady on the controls. They found the radiant dawn suspended in the storm, held by the processor node's tentacles. The ship was half gone, its hull dissolving slowly. I can't dock with it, Minho said. The structure is too unstable. Someone needs to spacewalk across. Hannah unbuckled her harness. The computer core will be in the same place as the last ship. I know what to look for. You can't go alone, Ji-Woo said. Watch me. Hannah suited up quickly. Before anyone could argue further, she was in the airlock. Ji-Woo watched through the external cameras as Hannah jumped from the Defiant Hope to the dying Valarathi ship. She used small thrusters to cross the gap, barely missing one of the processor node's tentacles. She disappeared inside the radiant dawn. For 10 minutes, they heard nothing. Then her voice crackled over the radio. I found it. The core is intact. Downloading now. How long? Ji-Woo asked. 2 minutes. Maybe 3. You have 1 minute, Minho interrupted. The processor node just noticed us. It's moving. Ji-Woo switched to the external view. The tentacles were indeed moving, reaching toward the Defiant Hope, and the radiant dawn was collapsing. Large pieces of hull were breaking off and falling into the gas giant below. Hannah, get out of there now. Almost done. Just a few more seconds. One of the tentacles wrapped around the Defiant Hope's hull. Alarm screamed. Another grabbed their engine section. I have it. Hannah's voice shouted. I'm coming back. Ji-Woo saw her leap from the radiant dawn just as the ship's reactor exploded. The blast threw her toward them. Minho caught her with the ship's manipulator arm and pulled her into the airlock. Go! Ji-Woo ordered. Minho fired the engines at full power. The tentacles held for a moment, then tore free. The Defiant Hope shot out of the gas giant's atmosphere, with the processor node's scream echoing behind them. In the airlock, Hannah removed her helmet. Her face was pale, but she was smiling. She held up a data device. 2 codes down, 1 to go. But everyone on the bridge knew the truth. They had lost 2 people at the first ship, nearly lost Hannah at the second. And the third command ship, the final sanctuary, was at the center of the hive's main nest. A planet with millions of drones. Tactical Officer Kyung brought up the scan data. There's no way to sneak in. The nest is too active. They'll see us immediately. For a long moment, no one spoke. They had come so far, sacrificed so much. But the mathematics were clear. They couldn't reach the third ship. Then Kyung said something unexpected. What if we don't sneak in? What if we pretend to be one of them? Everyone turned to look at him. Explain. Ji-Woo said. Kyung brought up images of hive ships they had seen. Look at them. They're not built. They're grown. Organic material wrapped around mechanical cores. What if we covered our ship in hive material? Made ourselves look like one of their vessels? That's insane, Minho said. It might work, Hannah added slowly. We have hive biomatter from the drones we killed. If we covered the hull with it, and if we moved like they move, we might pass for a small hive ship. Ji-Woo thought about it. The idea was disgusting, dangerous, and completely impossible. which meant it might actually work. "Do it," he ordered. They spent 6 hours covering the Defiant Hope in hive material. It was horrible work. The biomatter was still alive, pulsing and moving on its own. It smelled like death and chemicals. But slowly, their ship transformed. When they were done, the Defiant Hope looked like something that had crawled out of a nightmare. "I'm going to need so much therapy after this," Minho muttered. They approached the nest planet slowly, moving in the jerky, twitching pattern they had observed from hive vessels. Thousands of hive ships moved around them. None of them attacked. None of them even noticed. The disguise was working. They found the final sanctuary deep in the nest, held in what looked like a preservation web. The hive was keeping it intact, studying it. Ji Woo led the team inside personally this time. They moved through corridors that were more organic than mechanical, past chambers full of things they tried not to look at. They found the computer core. But they also found something unexpected. 3 Velrathi, still alive, suspended in some kind of stasis field. The hive was keeping them alive for study. "We're getting them out," Ji Woo said. "Sir, that wasn't the mission," Kyung protested. "It is now." They freed the Velrathi and downloaded the final activation code. For a moment, Ji Woo thought they might actually make it. Then every alarm in the nest began to scream at once. They had been discovered. The nest came alive around them. Every drone, every ship, every part of the massive structure suddenly knew where they were. Ji Woo could hear them through the walls, thousands of them moving toward the final sanctuary. "Move!" he shouted. They ran, carrying the 3 rescued Velrathi. The corridors seemed to close in around them, the organic walls pulsing with angry red light. Behind them, the sound of the hive grew louder, clicking, screaming, hunting. Minho reached the Defiant Hope first and threw open the airlock. "Everyone in now." They piled inside. Ji Woo was last through the door, sealing it just as the first drones reached them. He could see them through the small window, their bodies pressed against the door, trying to force their way in. "Get us out of here," he ordered. Minho fired the engines. The ship tore free from the docking clamp and shot toward the nest's exit. But the hive was faster. Ships appeared from every direction. Thousands of them. The sky was black with enemy vessels. "We're not going to make it," Kyung said quietly. Weapons fire lit up space around them. The Defiant Hope's shields flared and died. Something hit the engine section, and the whole ship shuddered. Warning lights covered every console. "Hull breach on Deck 3, Hana reported. "Life support failing." They limped out of the nest somehow, dodging and weaving through fire that should have killed them 100 times over. But even when they cleared the planet, the hive followed. A swarm of ships chased them into open space. "Stealth system is offline," the tactical officer reported. "Shields are gone. Weapons are at 40%. We have maybe an hour before they catch us." Ji Woo pulled up the navigation display. The coordinates where they needed to deploy the resonator were still 3 hours away at their current damaged speed. "Can we go faster?" he asked Minho. "Not without the engines exploding. Then we fight." Every minute we buy gets us closer to those coordinates. What followed was less a battle and more a desperate retreat. The Defiant Hope fired everything it had, destroying dozens of hive ships. But for every one they killed, 10 more appeared. Slowly, piece by piece, their ship was dying. Medic J worked frantically to save the injured. Half the crew was wounded. 2 more were dead. The 3 rescued Velrathi huddled in a corner, watching with wide eyes as the humans fought for their lives. "Sir, I need to tell you something," Hana said quietly. She brought up a display of the resonator. "I've been studying this thing. The Velrathi didn't just build it with safety limits. They built it to be weak on purpose. They were afraid of what it could do. What are you saying?" I'm saying I can remove those limits, make it more powerful, but it'll also make it unstable, dangerous. Do it. Hana nodded and went to work. They were 30 minutes from the deployment coordinates when another engine failed. The ship slowed even more. The hive was closing in. Then something impossible happened. Ships appeared on the sensors. Dozens of them, coming from the direction of human space. At first, Ji Woo thought he was hallucinating from blood loss. Then he saw the identification codes dot. It was Admiral Dong Hyen with the entire human deep space fleet. The Admiral's face appeared on the screen. Sorry we're late, Captain. Had some trouble with Earth Command. They really didn't want us coming here. Sir, you disobeyed orders? Dong Hyen smiled grimly. I learned from the best. Now get to those coordinates. We'll buy you time. 47 human ships moved into formation around the Defiant Hope. It was humanity's entire military space presence. Against thousands of hive vessels, the Velrothi in the corner spoke for the first time since their rescue. They will all die. For us. For strangers. That's what humans do, Medic J said simply, bandaging another wound. The human fleet fought with everything they had. They knew the odds. They knew how this would end. They fought anyway. Ships died quickly. A destroyer took a direct hit and exploded. A cruiser rammed a hive processor ship when its weapons failed. A small frigate positioned itself as a shield for the Defiant Hope and was torn apart. Ji Woo watched good people die, buying him time. Every second cost lives. Every minute was paid for in blood. We're at the coordinates, Minho reported. 60 seconds to full stop. Hana, are you ready? Almost. I need to input all 3 activation codes simultaneously. She worked at her console, her hands moving fast. Done. The codes are in. Starting the activation sequence. Nothing happened. Hannah stared at her display in horror. No, this can't be right. What's wrong? The resonator. It's not working. The modifications I made, they're causing a cascade failure. The whole thing is tearing itself apart from the inside. Ji Woo looked at the display. The resonator's core was glowing red, getting hotter by the second. In minutes, it would explode. Outside. The human fleet was down to 11 ships. Admiral Dong Hyen's flagship was missing its entire port side, but still firing. A medical ship that shouldn't even have weapons was ramming hive drones. They had come so far. Sacrificed so much. And it was all for nothing. Hana stood suddenly. I have an idea. I can manually reroute the power flows. Force the system to work. How long will it take? I don't know. Maybe a minute. Maybe less. She didn't say the other part. The part about how touching the resonator's core directly would flood her body with radiation. The part about how it would kill her. Hannah, you can't. She was already moving. She grabbed her tools and ran to the cargo bay where the resonator was stored. Ji Woo followed her. The resonator was worse than he expected. The crystalline core was fracturing, sending out waves of energy that made his eyes hurt to look at. Hannah didn't hesitate. She pulled open the containment housing with her bare hands. The radiation hit her immediately. Ji Woo could see it, the way her skin began to redden, the way her hands started to shake. But she kept working, connecting wires, rerouting power, forcing the ancient weapon to obey. Hannah, stop. There has to be another way. There isn't. She didn't look at him, focusing entirely on her work. Someone has to do this. Might as well be me. Medic J appeared in the doorway. He saw what was happening and ran forward. You need help. Jay don't. But Jay was already beside Hannah, holding tools, helping her work. The radiation hit him too. He gasped in pain, but didn't stop. Then Dr. Sabin's voice came over the radio. I'm coming down there. Don't you dare finish without me. Subin, you're on Covenant 7? Ji-Woo said. Was on Covenant 7? I hitched a ride with the Admiral. Someone had to make sure you idiots didn't break my stealth system. She appeared in the cargo bay, carrying more tools. Move over. Let the expert work. 3 humans working together, radiation cooking them alive, their hands burned and bleeding. But the resonator began to respond. The red glow turned blue. The fractures started to seal. Ji-Woo moved toward them. If they were going to die, he wouldn't let them die alone. He grabbed the resonator's housing and held it steady while the others worked. The radiation hit him like fire. He could feel his skin burning, his vision blurring. But he held on. 73 seconds. That's how long the 4 of them lasted. It's done, Hana whispered. Fire it. Ji-Woo reached for the activation switch with hands that were mostly just bone now. He pressed it. The resonator fired. A wave of energy exploded outward, invisible, but somehow felt by everything alive. It moved through normal space and quantum space simultaneously, finding every hive drone, every ship, every part of the collective consciousness. And it cut the connections. Across 100 systems, billions of hive drones simply stopped. The ships drifting toward them went dead. The drones on the hull stopped moving. The swarm that had been about to destroy the human fleet became nothing but floating debris. On the Defiant Hope's bridge, Tactical Officer Kyung watched his sensors in disbelief. It worked. It actually worked. The hive is gone. Min-Ho started laughing, then crying, then both at once. But in the cargo bay, Ji-Woo fell beside his crew. Hana was already gone, her eyes closed, a small smile on her burned face. Jay died next, his hand still holding a tool. Subin lasted a few seconds longer. She looked at Ji-Woo and whispered something he couldn't hear over the ringing in his ears. Then Ji-Woo felt himself falling. His last thought was that they had done it. The Velrathi were saved. The hive was defeated. It had only cost everything. The rescue teams found them 20 minutes later. Medics tried to save them, but the radiation damage was too severe. Captain Ji-Woo, Engineer Hannah, Dr. Subin, and Medic Jay died before they could be transported to medical facilities. The human fleet had started with 47 ships. 5 remained operational. Over 8,000 humans had died in the battle, but the Velrathi were saved. 12 systems would live. Billions would survive. In the end, humanity's last hope hadn't been broken. It had been stronger than anyone imagined. 6 months after the Battle of the Hive Nest, the Galactic Council convened in the Great Chamber at the center of the galaxy. Representatives from 200 species gathered to discuss what had happened, what humanity had done. Ambassador Thalvex stood before the council as a witness. He had asked to speak. They had allowed it, though many council members looked uncomfortable. The Velrathi should have been extinct. The mathematics had said so clearly. Fleet Admiral Donghyun represented humanity. He stood beside Thalvex, his empty left sleeve pinned neatly to his uniform. He had lost the arm in the battle. He wore it like a badge of honor. The council chamber was a massive sphere of crystal and light. Beings of every shape imaginable filled the seats. Some were physical, others were energy. A few existed partially in dimensions. Humans couldn't even perceive. At the center floated Velshara, the eldest member of the council. She was pure energy, a being of light that had existed for thousands of years. When she spoke, her voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. We are here to discuss the human intervention in the Velrathi crisis, Velshara said. Multiple species have filed formal complaints against humanity. Let us hear them. A representative from the Korvathi species spoke first. It was a floating jellyfish-like creature that communicated through color changes. Humanity violated the quarantine zone. They risked spreading the hive beyond containment. This was reckless and endangered the entire galaxy. Another species agreed. And another. They spoke of protocols violated, of dangers ignored, of irrational behavior that could have led to catastrophe. Furthermore, an insectoid representative clicked. Humanity deployed a weapon of mass destruction without council approval. The etheric resonator was banned for good reason. By using it, humanity has set a dangerous precedent. Admiral Dong Hyan listened to the complaints without expression. When they finally finished, Velshara turned to him. What is humanity's response to these accusations, Admiral? Dong Hyan stepped forward. May I ask a question first? You may. When the Velrathi came to you asking for help, what did you calculate? What were the odds of successfully saving them? Velshara was quiet for a moment. The probability of successful intervention was calculated at 0.002%. The risk of hive expansion was 37%. The logical decision was clear, so you let them die. We made the rational choice. The needs of trillions outweighed the needs of billions. This is how civilized species operate. We calculate costs and benefits. We choose the path that saves the most lives. Dong Hyan nodded slowly. I understand. You did the smart thing. The safe thing. You protected yourselves by abandoning the Velrathi. The math worked out nicely for you. That is correct. Then let me tell you about the human response. Dong Hyan's voice grew harder. We didn't calculate the odds. We didn't weigh costs and benefits. We saw people who needed help, and we helped them. It's that simple. A wave of confused murmuring filled the chamber. The council members clearly didn't understand. Dong Hyan continued. You want to know what justifies our actions? You want the logic behind why 8,000 humans died for strangers? There is no logic. There's no equation that makes it make sense. We did it because it was right. Because the Velrathi asked for help, and we could try. Because giving up wasn't an option we were willing to accept. But the mathematics clearly showed, a council member began. I don't care about your mathematics, Dong Hyan interrupted. Your numbers said the Velrathi would fall. Your calculations said the mission would fail. Your logic said we should stay home where it was safe. And if we had listened to any of that, the Velrathi would be dead right now. Billions of living beings, gone, because your math said saving them was too hard. Velshara pulsed with light. You speak as if emotion is superior to logic. No, I'm saying that sometimes the illogical choice is the right choice. Sometimes you have to ignore the numbers and do what's right anyway. Dong Hyan looked around the chamber at all the advanced species. You've evolved beyond what you call primitive emotions. You've created perfect societies based on logic and calculation. You have peace because you don't fight wars you can't win. You have order because you eliminated chaos and hope. He paused. But you've lost something. When your numbers said millions would die, you just accepted it. You prepared quarantine protocols and moved on. Because that was the smart thing to do. What else could we have done? Velshara asked. You could have tried anyway. You could have looked at those impossible odds and said, we're going to try anyway. You could have done what Captain Ji Woo did. What Engineer Hannah did. What 8,000 humans did. You could have chosen compassion over calculation. Thalvex stepped forward. May I speak? Velshara gestured permission. I want to tell you what I witnessed, Thalvex said. I watched Captain Ji Woo lie to me about his orders. He disobeyed his own government to help my people. I watched his crew volunteer for a mission they knew would kill them. Not because they were ordered to. Not because they would gain anything. They volunteered because someone needed help. His voice grew stronger. I watched Engineer Hannah tear open a weapon with her bare hands while radiation burned her alive. I watched Medic J run toward certain death to help her. I watched Dr. Subin and Captain Ji Woo join them, all four working together as the radiation cooked them. And do you know what they were thinking about in those final moments? Not themselves. Not the pain. They were thinking about whether the resonator would fire in time to save us. The council chamber was completely silent now. For my entire life, I was taught that emotion was weakness. That logic was strength. That the most advanced species were those who had eliminated irrational behavior. Thalvex looked at Velshara. But I was wrong. Humanity showed me something I had never seen before. They showed me that compassion isn't weakness. That hope isn't foolish. That sometimes the most logical thing to do is to ignore logic entirely and just help someone who needs help. A council member spoke up. But by your own admission, they died. How is that a good outcome? They died saving billions, Thalvex said quietly. They knew the cost. They paid it anyway. And because of them, my entire species survives. How many of you can say you would do the same? No one answered. Velshara floated down closer to Admiral Dong-Ein. I have existed for over 3,000 of your years. I have witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations. I have seen species reach enlightenment and transcend physical form. And in all that time, I have never seen what humanity did at the hive nest. She paused. You are primitive by our standards. Your technology is crude. Your societies are chaotic. You still experience internal conflict. By every metric we use, you should be classified as a developing species requiring guidance and oversight. But Dong-Hyen prompted. But today, I witnessed evidence that challenges everything the Council believes about advancement and maturity. You chose compassion over survival. You charged into darkness not because you could win, but because someone waited in that darkness who needed you. You fixed the Valrathi's hope not with superior technology or ancient wisdom, but with stubborn refusal to accept defeat. Velshara's light pulsed bright. Perhaps we are not the ones who should judge maturity. Perhaps true advancement is not measured by the elimination of emotion, but by the choice to act with compassion, even when logic says to retreat. What are you saying? Another council member asked. I am saying that the council should formally invite humanity to join us, not as a developing species, not as a civilization requiring oversight, but as full members with all rights and privileges. The chamber erupted in discussion. Many council members objected, but slowly, one by one, they began to agree. The humans had done something none of them would have done. They had saved a species that should have been lost. The vote was close, but it passed. Humanity would join the Galactic Council. After the session ended, Thalvex found Admiral Dong-Hyen in one of the observation chambers. The humans stood looking out at the stars. Thank you, Thalvex said simply. For what? For everything. For coming when no one else would. For fighting when the odds were impossible. For not giving up even when hope died. Thalvex stood beside him. My people have built monuments to your crew. Every Velrathi child learns their names. Captain Ji Woo, Engineer Hana, Dr. Subin, Medic J, and the 8,000 others who died protecting strangers. Dong-Hyen nodded slowly. They deserved better than to die like that. They deserved better, Thalvex agreed. But they chose anyway. That is what makes them heroes. Not that they succeeded, but that they tried when everyone else said it was impossible. 6 months later, Captain Mino stood on the bridge of humanity's new flagship. It had been built using combined human and Velrathi technology, faster and stronger than anything humanity had possessed before. He had been promoted after the battle, though he still sometimes forgot to use his new rank. A young Velrathi engineer worked at one of the consoles. More Velrothi served throughout the ship, working alongside humans. The two species had become close after the battle, bound by sacrifice and saved by stubbornness. Captain Minho, the communications officer, called. "We're receiving a distress call. It's from a species called the Tarani. They're requesting immediate assistance. Their colony is under attack." Minho reviewed the tactical data. The Tarani were a small species, barely known in the galaxy. They had no powerful allies, no resources worth fighting for. The attacking force was much larger than anything Minho's ship could handle. The logical choice was to report it to the Council and let them handle it through proper channels. The smart move was to calculate the odds and retreat if they were unfavorable. Minho thought about Captain Ji Woo, about a station commander who had disobeyed orders to help strangers, about a crew who had volunteered for certain death, about 4 humans who had worked together as radiation burned them alive, thinking only about whether the weapon would fire in time. He smiled. "Set course for the Tarani colony," he ordered. "Maximum speed. Sir, shouldn't we wait for reinforcements?" "The tactical computer says." "I don't care what the computer says. Someone needs help. That's all we need to know." Minho looked at his crew, human and Velrothi, working side by side. "Let's show the galaxy what humanity taught us. Let's show them that hope isn't broken as long as someone is willing to fight for it." The ship turned toward the distress signal and accelerated into the darkness. Behind them, a piece of debris from the original Defiant Hope floated in space. It was mounted on the new flagship's hull like a memorial. Engraved on its surface were simple words. Their last hope was broken. Ours never was. And somewhere, in whatever place heroes go after they die, Captain Ji Woo smiled.